already know award shows are rigged, and even though video games don't need to win in order for them to get the recognition that they deserve, it's always nice for your favorite product to actually be praised the way that it deserves. And Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is definitely a Game of the Year contender. I personally think that it should win, and we're already skeptical when it comes to the Game Awards at the end of the year and how they'll handle a title as big as this. But now we know the Grammys list for Best Score Soundtrack, it was not nominated, and the list is ridiculous. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I think a soundtrack is such an important part of an experience, and there are always so many games that have amazing soundtracks, yet the gameplay itself or the world building itself isn't necessarily the best, though I still think that when it comes to all of these different award shows, right, I don't mind a game getting a few wins under its belt, even if it's not the best experience ever, but to completely ignore the existence of one of the best games to come out in years is wild to me. And when you look at what the Grammys nominated over Expedition 33, you're going to be really ticked off. Now, let's take a peek at some of the past winners and nominations, because these lists are always wild. In 2023, Aliens Fireteam Elite, Call of Duty Vanguard, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Old World were nominated, but Assassin's Creed Valhalla won. In 2024, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, God of War Ragnarok, Hogwarts Legacy, and Stray Gods were nominated, but Jedi Survivor won. And in 2025, this one really ticks me off, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, God of War Ragnarok Valhalla, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and Star Wars Outlaws were nominated, but Wizardry Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord won. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Wizardry, I definitely think that it deserves a lot of praise, but to win, really? I just don't see that happening. They completely ignored games like Black Myth Wukong, which is mind-blowing to me. Just shows how out of touch these people really are. They don't even have a single gamer on their team, given every single year they nominate the newest Call of Duty. But this year, they have nominated Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, the DLC, even though previously they had nominated the base game, Helldivers 2, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Star Wars Outlaws DLC, even though they previously had nominated the base Star Wars Outlaws game, and Sword of the Sea. Now, hey, listen, it's fine if you love a little movie game. It's fine if, ooh, you see Indiana Jones and you get excited, or ooh, you see the blue people from Avatar and you get excited. Oh my god, it's Star Wars! But this is wild to me that they are ignoring such amazing games from this year, like Clair Obscur Expedition 33, games like Hollow Knight Silksong. These people don't know anything about video games. They didn't even nominate Death Stranding 2, which I do agree had some pretty good music, and they're choosing DLC over base games. So then they could have nominated Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree, and they didn't do that either. I'm so sick and tired of people who know nothing about video games trying to weasel their way into this industry because they know how big it is. They could have taken 5 minutes of looking at people's Game of the Year list on social media, and they could have nominated a million better things. And judging by, again, Wizardry Proving Grounds previously winning, them nominating basically every Call of Duty to release, them just hyper-focusing on movie games, goes to show that was never about what actually had the best soundtrack for a year. It really has to just do with, oh, I know a guy who knows a guy that worked on this game, so let's nominate it, or ooh, big franchise name. And gamers are absolutely annihilating the Grammys. And keep in mind, nobody expects these award shows to go over well. They never nominate what people want. Usually what wins is ridiculous. They typically lean towards just normie slop, things that most people are going to be able to play, instead of like hardcore gaming experiences. But wow, does it just show how out of touch they are? I'm not surprised at all. The Grammys has different ways to evaluate OST. A few years ago, Assassin's Creed Mirage OST was nominated instead of Final Fantasy 16. This is actually diabolical. WTF. LOL, 3 movie-based games and 1 that released last year. Great job, Academy. Dude, it's not hard to get. Just look at this list. Avatar, Disney. Indiana Jones, Disney. Star Wars Outlaws, Disney. Sword of the Sea, composer already won a Grammy for an Alien game. Disney, Helldiver, same composer as Star Wars Outlaws, Disney. So yeah, clearly this is just a Disney list, and it just shows how lame these people really are. Claire Obscure not getting nominated and winning Best Soundtrack should be the clearest sign that these awards are absolutely meaningless. There's one heavy miss on this list, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I personally didn't connect with the Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 OST, but I still thought that it was okay, and I know a lot of people love it, so that definitely deserves a nomination over Avatar and Outlaws, that's for certain. It's very noticeable that 3 out of the 5 nominees are based on Hollywood properties, really tells you how seriously we should take these nominations. Haha, WTF Lumiere is the best video game song and soundtrack of the year. DS2 has Nightmares from Churches and many others. And that scores the beginning of Expedition 33, where we experienced the first Gamage, was absolutely heart-wrenching. Yeah, I agree. Someone nominated something they didn't listen to. And look at how beloved Claire Obscure Expedition 33 really is. Looking at Steam's reviews alone, it is sitting at overwhelmingly positive with 67,889 reviews. This tells you all you need to know about this game. And when it comes to the Game Awards that is in roughly a month, we all basically know that Expedition 33 is probably not going to win Game of the Year simply because of the time factor. When something recently comes out and everybody is talking about it, and it's only 2 months away from the award itself, that's typically the type of game that gets nominated or ultimately wins, whereas something that released at the beginning of the year kind of gets screwed over because these people with pea-sized brains completely ignore a game, they forget about a game, they think other people have forgotten about it. And while I'm sure Claire Obscure Expedition 33 is going to get nominated, I don't necessarily think that it's going to win. I do think that games like Death Stranding 2 have a higher probability of actually winning because it's normie bait, right? Look at how many copies of Death Stranding have sold. I love Expedition 33. I love Silksong. Those are the 2 games I would be perfectly happy winning Game of the Year. But I also know that when it comes to the Game Awards, it's basically just video game journalists and people within the industry who are ultimately voting and have the largest say, and I just have a sneaking suspicion that something like Death Stranding 2 is going to be nominated, going to win, and I am so happy to see so many gamers calling them out and fighting back, because this is what we need to do. We need to gatekeep our hobbies, and look at what happened over the years when we tried to welcome in all sorts of people. They weaseled their way into the industry, started ruining it, and then tried to push us out. Tried to say, oh, we're the racist, sexist, bigots, ists, and phobes simply for defending our favorite series, for defending our favorite properties. And then you end up with things like this. Ooh, the movie game of the year is being nominated when an absolutely phenomenal game's getting ignored. And last year, they ignored something like Black Myth Wukong. They've avoided things like Stellar Blades. Stellar Blade had an amazing OST because it didn't fit the narratives that they wanted to push. And ultimately, it's not coming from Disney, so I'll be keeping my eye on the award shows and the award nominations over the next couple of weeks, given we're so close to the Game Awards, and I'm curious to see what wins at the Grammys. Not that anybody really cares, but gamers are wrecking them, and rightfully so. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.